So for my first critique, I will be doing this piece here. The piece appears to be an abstracted teddy bear that has been wrapped or covered in some type of material, like cloth or plastic, which is either very black and inky itself or has been painted over to add this effect. The greasy, uncomfortable colors are definitely the first thing to notice about this piece. That and the knife in its hand, which, along with its uncanny pose for a teddy bear, um, adds quite an eerie, grungy feeling to the piece. It looks as though there's been definite attention to choice of materials to give certain feelings to the piece, given the patterns of duality throughout the work. You have the tar black material covering the bear in such a skin-tight way that the eye sockets are concaved, without any sign of the eyes like dark holes into the bear. But it's standing on a perfectly neat linoleum base that you might see in or on like a kitchen floor. There's also a duality between the fact that that teddy bears are usually like a nice toy for children or nostalgia for adults, I guess, but the way it's shown here is more of a nightmare. And another thing I notice is the pose that it's in almost feels like it could be coming in for a hug, with kind of over and under each shoulder. But it's got that knife in its hand, and it's got quite an unnerving look to it. With all the balance between light and dark going on in this piece, one might assume this piece could be making a statement about how becoming an adult as compared to a child is quite the nightmare. I think it is a successful piece as a wrapped object because even though you can't physically see any of the bear anymore, there's still a balance with the object and the wrapping covering it. You can still see what the object is. You can still see the outline of the bear and how it's positioned and everything. But the coverings changed the look of it and the feeling of, what you expect to feel or think about when you see a teddy bear. That it's hardly the same object anymore. And for my second critique, I have this structure with skin. The piece looks to be constructed out of some kind of chopsticks or dowels held together with glue. The sticks are arranged into what looks like a triangular pyramids of different sizes, all kind of interlocked together and stacked vertically. Not all of but some of the triangles have one or maybe two faces covered with a skin made of what looks like wheat or some kind of grass crop. The wheat panels make the whole piece sort of feel light and airy, with the negative space created with the gaps in the wheat, as well as the different angles that the triangles protrude from each other. Another thing that was done with this piece that gives me that relaxed sort of summertime vibe is It's all fairly monochromatic. It has that sort of golden tan, crispy brown sort of summertime colors. Lots of different shades um, throughout the piece. The change in the value of browns don't just go in a gradient either, which I think is a very interesting color choice. It's more random. It's sort of like sunlight on a warm afternoon shining through crops in a field or something. It adds a really positive effect to the piece, I think. To me, I look at it and I think about all the long road trips I've gone on as a kid to visit family out of state, and on every road trip there's always a point where you're driving and all of a sudden all you can see anywhere is tall grass and brown fields kind of swaying in the breeze. Um, it also reminds me of those geometrical tattoos that people sometimes get because of the triangle patterns in the piece. But, instead of a honeybee in some kind of honeycomb pattern, it's wheat in triangles. This piece is pretty successful as a structure of skin, in my opinion. Even though the skin parts are kind of see-through and they're loose enough to create a lot of negative space. It adds to that kind of loose and airy feeling, like I mentioned. Just kind of light, and that, in addition to the colors and the materials used, it just kind of adds just a warm sort of feeling to the piece, in my opinion. The structure and skin are left in a pretty good balance.